Alright, hi Christian. I'm making this video just for you. Only because it's a little faster than trying to type it all out on the discussion. So, all these types of problems you're going to have to know how to do for the test. So, I have your document here. And your first problem is totally fine. There's a small error right here with, this is 1B by the way. So I put this over here. What you did is when you multiplied -8 times +2, you came up with a +16, and that's supposed to be a -16. So if we were to kind of redo that, if you do -8 times the x, you get the -8x. Whoa. Let's fix that. And that's what you got, -8x. But when you do this next one, -8 times +2, you get -16. And then -3x, because that nothing happens with that. Basically, you do the distributive property, of course, to get rid of those parentheses. Trying to put a box around that. Okay, so then that equals -60. Okay, so then over here, what you did was, it looks like you added, oh no, you subtracted, okay, you subtracted 16, which then you got -76. So instead of subtracting the 16, of course, in this case, you're going to add it. So that'd be +16, and that's +16. So when we do the -8 -3, let's do -8. Well, you know the rest. I'm sure you're looking at this going, oh, I know what I did. Anyway, just to finish it out, of course, I take the difference between this, which is 4. That's 5 minus 1 is 4. So that would be -44. And this, of course, is the opposite. So that's -11x equals -44. And so the answer comes out x equals 4. If you ever look over at other students' work after you've posted and you find a mistake that you might have made, you can always go back and repost. You know, you could just say, oh, I looked over some other students' work and I saw I did this problem wrong or that problem wrong. And redoing it is perfectly fine. It's a great way to use the discussion, because then it's kind of like if another classmate asked a question that you didn't ask, and then you saw it being worked out on the board and you went, oh, okay. So it's totally fine to repost after you look at other students' responses, or look at my response to their response, which often has the answers. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this. So the answer to this one should be 4 for 1B. And this here, you did right, but you should learn how to use the equation tool in Word. And let me move this over so I can show you that. If you press Insert right there, and you go to Equation, and you press the symbol. If you press that lower arrow, you just get a bunch of equations that you really can't use. So press the symbol, and then you get this layout. So for example, on this step here, if you need to divide both sides by -12 for your next step, instead of doing this here, you can insert, whoops, I lost my insert, the equation. What the heck? Why is it? Oh. Hit that fraction, you pick your style of fraction, and then you could say -6. And you're dividing both sides by -12. And click out of it. I love it when it does that. It's so weird. Anyway, then you do it again, insert the fraction, and that's a negative 12x over the negative 12. And it just looks prettier all the way around. So then the next step is just showing the final division. Negative 6 divided by negative 12 gives you a positive. It's kind of a hassle to keep going. So you get a positive 1/2. And when I enter, it's going to pop over there, equal to x, because of course this negative 12 over negative 12 cancels out. Anyway, that's the long and short of how to use the equation tool. What else happened on your thing? This was strange. I couldn't follow your math at all on this. Not sure what you did. So I want to work these out. Okay, so let's look at that. 2 plus 1/3 x, and of course I can't use fancy tools here. 1/3 x equals 4. So try not to write it as 1/3x. That's actually not correct. You have to write it as 1/3 x. This x is really 1/3 times x over 1. If you draw it in the denominator, that changes it to 1/x. So don't do that. Picture. Okay, so 1/3 x is the way to write that correctly. And the way to do these problems is, you know the drill in general. I know you do pretty well on these things. You're going to subtract the 2, of course. Subtract 2. So that'll give you 1/3 x equals 4 minus 2, which is 2. And then, of course, this is the way, I don't know if you know this part necessarily, but whenever you have a fraction as a coefficient, and what I mean by coefficient is any number coming before the letter is called a coefficient. 2y, this is the coefficient 2. You can multiply by the multiplicative inverse, that's the fancy word, both sides of the equation. You always do the same thing to one side as you do to another. So that's, remember, you can always put it over 1. So you're multiplying by 3 over 1. So that, of course, cancels this, because 3, so that becomes, everything becomes 1, and that's an x. And then, of course, that's a multiply there. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 over 1 is 6. You did get the same answer, but I just couldn't follow your math. So I just want to clarify the way that it's done, just in case it was just luck that you got the right answer. The reason this little trick works with the multiplicative inverse, which is a mouthful, is because it's the same thing as dividing 1/3 by 1/3. Remember, when you divide fractions, and I'm running out of room, 1/3, and this is a division, this line, so that's divided by, whether I write it as a vertical division or a horizontal division, it's both the same. And what happens is, of course, you multiply 1/3, you change division to multiplication, and you flip the second fraction, 3 over 1. That's why, and that'll equal 1, as we saw. Move this, since you know what we're doing. That equals 1 because 3 cancels. So that's why I know right away when I have a fraction, I can just multiply by the multiplicative inverse, or the opposite turn it upside down basically and multiply both sides by that reversed fraction, or the flipped fraction. Okay, so that's how you would also work this problem here. And I won't work that one out. Okay, so solving for x in terms of y. So this, what you have here, is not correct. That's kind of complicated, what you have there. So I'm going to copy this, move it over here. This is the problem. Okay, let's work this out so it comes out correctly. We're going to solve for x, and you had the right idea. Something just went a little off there. So plus 12 for each side. And of course, if you're going to add 12 here, you can't really do much but just write it out. So 12 plus y equals 3x, because of course this cancels out. Now you have to divide both sides by 3. So what you had somehow came out strange. I think because you had to type it, that maybe that's why it came out funny. But here's another little trick. You've got 12. You divide each term by 3, and it comes out even more clever, or at least to me. 3x over 3. You've got that, still cancels of course. You've got the y over 3, and this reduces to 4. So the whole equation then becomes 4 plus y over 3, but you write y over 3 as 1/3 y. So 1/3 times y equals x. And this will be really important to know when we are working with a linear equation. Let's look at what happened in this one. You almost got it. It was just an error that other people also made. Let's look at that one. What happens on this one is when you distribute the 3x, remember it's 3x times 2x, which equals 6x squared. And then 3x times the negative 8 is minus 24x. You forgot to do that this little x piece for your answer. Okay, this one is okay, the B, and this is not right. And a lot of people did the same thing. And I have a video of this already, but I'm here doing this now, so may as well just go. This is not a -7. So it is not written as -7 to minus 3x. That is not correct. It is written as 7 minus 2 minus 3x. So what you have to see is that you can put a 1 here. So you're distributing a -1. That's how you get rid of those parentheses. So then that becomes 7. This is -1 times +2, so it's minus 2. -1 times -3x, which is +3x. And that allows you to combine these as like terms. And it is 5 plus 3x is the answer to that one. This is really important because there is a problem very much like that on the test.